My name's Jack Morrison. I'm 41 years old, and for the past 16 years, I've lived the kind of life that doesn't get featured in magazines but stands the test of time. I'm a project manager for a municipal construction firm, glamorous, I know. I spend my days knee-deep in drainage blueprints and pavement schedules, and I've never once been the guy to brag about it at parties. I take pride in my work, though. Roads, schools, libraries, concrete and steel, stuff that lasts. That's always meant something to me. I believe in building things that don't break. Houses, bridges, families. Vanessa was different. Always has been. Where I see function, she sees flair. She's sharp, articulate, got a knack for turning heads in any room she enters. That used to be one of the reasons I loved her. I'd walk into a room behind her and feel lucky. Still do, some days, even if that luck feels like a cracked mirror now. She works in corporate PR. Image is her currency, and she's damn good at it. She can spin a disaster into a triumph with the right font and filter. The early years, we balanced each other out, my boots-on-the-ground steadiness and her skyscraper ambition. But somewhere along the line, the balance tipped, and not in my favor. I first noticed the shift when the perfume changed. Vanessa had worn the same fragrance for a decade, something subtle and warm, the kind of scent that made our sheets smell like home. Then one morning, I walked into the kitchen and was hit with something sharper. Floral, loud, expensive. A scent that didn't belong to any memory we shared. I said nothing. Then came the selfies. Not just one here or there, entire albums. Duck-faced at the gym, wine glass in hand at rooftop lounges I'd never heard of, group shots from work events that looked more like fashion shows than client meetings. I started noticing names I didn't recognize in the captions. Inside jokes I wasn't inside on. The late nights followed. Team deadlines, client dinners, networking retreats. There was always a reason she wasn't home by the time the kids went to bed. Our daughter, Lily, 11 going on 30, started asking questions. Is mom working late again? And I'd smile and say, big campaign coming up, like I had a script in front of me. The thing about slow betrayal is that it doesn't hit like a truck. It creeps in like water under tile, quiet, cold, and patient. Then came my birthday. We'd never gone big on presents. We weren't those people. But we always made time. Vanessa used to bake me a chocolate cake from scratch, write a little note, maybe a card from Lily too. This year? I came downstairs to find a small envelope propped against the coffee maker. No cake. No candles. Inside was a $15 Starbucks gift card. On the front of the card, in her handwriting. Fuel for your mornings. Happy birthday, Jack. V. That was it. No, I love you. No mention of the years we'd spent building this life together. Just a corporate afterthought disguised as affection. I stood there, staring at that card, listening to the low gurgle of the coffee pot behind me, and felt something shift in my gut. A weight, not quite grief, not quite rage. Just this steady hum of understanding. Something was wrong. Not in the obvious way. There was no lipstick on a collar, no hushed phone calls at night. But the air had changed. She looked through me instead of at me. Our house felt like a hotel lobby, clean, impersonal, transient. I didn't say anything that morning. Lily came in and hugged me. Happy birthday, Daddy. I smiled, squeezed her tight, and thanked her like nothing was wrong. But inside, I knew. Something had cracked beneath the surface of our life. A fracture in the foundation. And the thing about cracks is, they always spread. 2 weeks after the birthday card that should have been a warning flare, I found myself in the garage, tightening a loose hinge on the storage cabinet. Just something to keep my hands busy. The kind of thing you do when your thoughts won't settle, and you're trying to convince yourself it's all in your head. That's when I heard it. Vanessa was on the phone, walking into the kitchen from the garage entrance, unaware I was just on the other side of the door. Her voice was low, cheerful, different from the clipped tone she usually saved for me these days. No, babe, I told you. I'll take care of the flight. He won't even ask. He never does, she said, followed by a laugh that sounded nothing like the one I used to hear when she'd get punch-drunk tired watching reruns with me on the couch. I didn't move. Just stood there, drill in one hand, like I was frozen mid-task. She continued, Yeah. I told him it's a women's leadership conference. In Scottsdale. He bought it. He's sweet, in that sad, predictable way. My loser husband will probably pay for the hotel too. There it was. That sentence. That burn. Like being gut-punched and then mocked for flinching. She called me sweet. Then called me a loser. She laughed like she was in on a joke I didn't know I was the punchline of. I didn't barge in. I didn't throw anything. I just stepped back from the door and walked into the side yard like I needed fresh air. The lawn needed trimming. I grabbed the mower instead. That evening, after she'd left for yoga and Lily was tucked in with her favorite audiobook playing, I sat down at the kitchen counter with her laptop. Not snooping, just verifying. Her password was the same it had always been, our anniversary date. Irony really does have a sense of humor. The email account was clean. Too clean. Almost sterile. But when I opened the travel folder, there it was. An itinerary. 2 names listed. Vanessa Miller. Grant Pembroke. Grant. The name had come up once or twice. My creative director, she'd said once over dinner in passing. Brilliant, but smug as hell. Smug as hell. At least she was consistent. The itinerary wasn't for Scottsdale. It was for Cabo San Lucas. Ocean View Suite. 2 guests. Work conference, my ass. I closed the laptop without a sound. My pulse was steady. Not because it didn't hurt, but because I was already past the part where it breaks you. I started watching more closely after that. Nothing crazy, just paying attention like I'd been too polite to do before. A restaurant charge in LA the night she claimed to be stuck at the office. Uber receipts that didn't match where she said she'd been. One receipt for a bottle of champagne and a cheese board at a rooftop bar I hadn't even heard of. I didn't confront her. No grand show. No yelling in the hallway. I just filed it all away in that mental cabinet where men like me keep receipts, both literal and metaphorical. The trip was coming up. She mentioned it casually over dinner one night. Some salad I'd made, trying to be healthy. Oh, by the way, she said, swirling a glass of Pinot around like a woman in a lifestyle commercial. I'll be out of town next week. Scottsdale conference. Thursday to Sunday. I didn't blink. Sounds good. I'll make sure Lily gets to swim practice. She smiled. Thanks, Jack. You're such a rock. I smiled back. Always have been. She didn't know what I knew. She thought I was still asleep at the wheel. And that was going to be her biggest mistake. Because I'd stopped being the man who just trusted. I was becoming the man who prepared. The following Monday, while Vanessa packed her swimsuit and lies into a sleek little carry-on, I sat across from a man named Russell Kane. Divorce attorney. No nonsense. Wore a tie like it had personal beef with him. We met at his office downtown, far from the suburb where our house pretended to be normal. The kind of office with thick walls and thicker files. The kind of place that people walk into hoping they'll never need to come back. Mr. Morrison, Russell said, steepling his fingers. Your message said this was urgent. It is, I replied, sliding a manila folder across the desk. Inside were screenshots, travel itineraries, and a few too coincidental credit card charges. Enough to paint a portrait even the most loyal spouse would have to squint at to justify. He opened it, flipped through the contents without a word. A nod here, a raised brow there. Grant Pembroke, I said evenly. Her co-worker. They're going to Cabo. She says it's a leadership conference. His Instagram says otherwise. Russell gave a low whistle. Classy. She thinks I don't know. Even classier. He closed the folder, leaned back, and said the words I hadn't expected. Well, you've come at a good time. Your timing is strategically beautiful. I raised an eyebrow. How's that? Because, Jack, your prenup has a clause most people forget exists, or assume they'll never need. Fidelity clause. Subsection 8C. If she cheats, and you can prove it, you're protected. Protected how? No spousal support. No alimony. And we can challenge any division of joint assets. Especially if it can be shown that she used marital funds to conduct the affair. I nodded slowly, letting that settle in. Like finding a flashlight in a dark cave. Start moving your money, Russell said. Legally, of course. I'll help you document it. Open a separate account in your name only. Direct deposit from your job goes there. Leave the joint account with just enough to look normal, but make sure she doesn't have access to the real vault anymore. I did exactly that. Tuesday morning, while Vanessa was in the shower, I moved half our savings into a new private account at a credit union she'd never think to look at. Updated my payroll info with HR while sipping coffee at my desk. Transferred the car title for the truck into my name. Russell said it was fair game since I bought it before the marriage. Set up a P.O. box. Got a new credit card in my name only. It felt strange, like slipping out of an old coat I didn't realize had gotten so heavy. Then I locked down the joint credit cards. Not canceled, just frozen. A little hiccup to let her feel the chill. Not yet, but soon. The taps would dry up. The next step was surveillance, and the most legal, non-Hollywood way. I began documenting everything. Travel dates, her absence, the names of the places she went, a digital paper trail she wouldn't see until it was all neatly printed in a binder labeled Exhibit A. Russell made it clear, you don't need drama, Jack. You need facts. No yelling, no threats. Just build the case, brick by brick. That night, Vanessa came home late. Hair windblown. Lip gloss a shade darker than morning. She kissed Lily on the head, offered me a thin smile, and said, "Sorry, traffic was a nightmare." I nodded. No worries. She poured herself a glass of wine, tossed her heels by the stairs, and kicked her feet up like nothing was unraveling. Like her castle walls were still standing tall. But they weren't. She just didn't know yet that the foundation had shifted. And I was the one holding the blueprints now. Vanessa left on a Thursday morning. Kissed Lily goodbye, waved like she was a businesswoman jetting off to save the world. She gave me a quick peck on the cheek, not affection, more like signing for a package she didn't order, and rolled her sleek little suitcase down the driveway. "Don't forget about swim practice Saturday," she called. "Wouldn't dream of it," I said, and watched the Uber take her away. I gave her exactly 12 hours. By 9 p.m., the show had started. Grant's Instagram account wasn't private. Classic narcissist move. His grid looked like a cologne had exploded. And now there she was, Vanessa, in the middle of it. Champagne glass in hand, oversized sunglasses, some sun-drenched beach behind her that definitely wasn't Scottsdale. One photo showed her legs, tanned, polished, propped up across Grant's lap as he leaned back smirking into the camera like he'd just closed the deal of the century. The caption, "Work hard, play harder." Another photo, just hours later, a seafood platter, a bottle of Dom Perignon, her name tagged. I let the images load, one after the other, until it felt like watching a demolition in slow motion. Then my phone buzzed. A text. From her. "Vanessa. Thanks for funding my fun, loser. Might stay an extra day just to soak up your generosity." No emoji. Just venom. I stared at it, thumb hovering over the keyboard. But I didn't reply. Not a word. I just smiled, opened my screenshot app, and saved the whole thing. Then I got to work. First stop, joint bank account. Froze it. Not drained, just sealed shut. No activity until further notice. Called the bank, flagged a few recent charges as suspicious. "She's traveling internationally," I said. "I didn't approve these expenses. Might be fraud." Next, credit cards. Canceled the joint one. Froze her authorized access on mine. Changed the passwords on the family Amazon account, the Netflix she never logged out of, the airline rewards profile she used for work trips. Every tap that used to flow freely closed. Vanessa had her own card. I knew that. A relic from her single days. I also knew she rarely used it and never paid attention to the balance. I checked the last statement back when I started this prep, balance hovering around $18. Credit limit just over $500. She'd made a payment the week before. Left exactly $2.73 available. Just enough for a lukewarm burger at a sad airport McDonald's. Now here she was, on a luxury beach trip in Cabo with a man who probably didn't know how to book his own flights, sipping $100 champagne, wearing a bikini I didn't recognize, about to find out her golden card didn't work anymore. I pictured her at the resort's front desk, trying to check out. Swiping that card with a smug little smile. Watching the clerk frown. Swipe again. And again. Declined. I pictured the way her lips would twist when she opened her phone and saw the bank app frozen, her little empire locked behind a wall of customer service messages. I pictured the moment she realized she hadn't just lost access to our money. She'd lost control. And I, her sweet, predictable, boring husband, had stopped being her safety net. For the first time in years, I felt something light settle in my chest. Like someone had opened a window after a long winter. She was in paradise. With $2.73. It started around noon the next day. The first text came in while I was helping Lily assemble a science project, a papier-mâché volcano. I was elbow-deep in red food coloring and baking soda when my phone buzzed. "Vanessa. Hey, something's up with the card. Can you check?" A pause. Then another. "Vanessa. Seriously. It's not working. Tried it twice now." I didn't respond. I just wiped my hands, stirred the lava, and let her stew. 10 minutes later, another text. "Vanessa. What the hell, Jack? Fix this. Now." It was like watching someone in freefall, trying to flap their arms. Then came the call. Unknown number. Cabo area code. I answered on the third ring. Hello, Mr. Morrison, a professional voice asked. This is Diego Alvarez, front desk supervisor at the Sol Del Mar Resort. I'm calling to inform you that there's an issue with the billing profile attached to your reservation. My reservation? I said, voice even. Yes, sir. The credit card on file has been declined. We've attempted several times. The guest registered under the booking, Vanessa Miller, is currently with us, and we're attempting to resolve the situation. I leaned against the kitchen counter, glanced at Lily, who was laughing as her volcano started bubbling. I'm glad you called, I said calmly, because that reservation was made without my knowledge or consent. I didn't authorize any charges. In fact, I'd like to report the card activity as fraudulent. A pause on the other end. Papers shuffled. A throat cleared. I see. Understood. In that case, we may need to escalate the matter. The resort has a strict policy on unauthorized stays. I respect that, I said. Do what you need to do. Within 20 minutes, the messages came pouring in. Vanessa, Jack, they're saying the reservation was fake. They're threatening to call the police. Are you serious right now? Vanessa, this isn't funny. Fix it. Vanessa, I'm about to be arrested. Call them. Please. Still, I said nothing. Until the fourth message came in. Less rage, more desperation. Vanessa, please. Just tell them it's fine. I'll pay you back. That's when I replied. Just one line. Me. Enjoy your burger. Silence. I could imagine it all perfectly. Her phone clutched in one manicured hand. Hotel security standing nearby. Grant shrinking into the background like a child caught shoplifting. Her pride burning hotter than the Cabo sun. I later learned, through a friend of a friend who worked in hospitality, that local police had been called. Not for arrest, just protocol. Unpaid resort charges, no working card, and no adult explanation. Apparently, Grant tried to offer his own card. Declined. Twice. In the end, they let her off with a warning. After she managed to scrape together a partial payment with a combination of her nearly maxed personal card and some instant money transfer from a friend, likely her sister. Vanessa was humiliated. Hotel security escorted her out. The rest of the trip? Canceled. She went to the airport early. Coach class. No champagne. No ocean view. Just terminal chairs, a stale sandwich, and her phone burning in her palm with the reality that she'd bet everything on me staying silent. But I wasn't silent. I was patient. There's a difference. Sunday night, just past 10 p.m., Vanessa came home. At least, she tried to. I was in the living room with Lily, watching an old Pixar movie, when the porch light flicked on. I saw the Uber headlights spill across the driveway. A suitcase will bumped up the front step. She reached the door, confident, probably rehearsing whatever monologue she had cooked up on the flight back. Some mix of fake indignation and weary charm. She pulled out her keys, slid one in. Click. No movement. She frowned. Tried again. Click. Nothing. I'd had the locks changed the morning after she left for her conference. Called in a favor from a buddy who owns a security company. Didn't ask too many questions. Just showed up, swapped out the deadbolts, handed me a fresh set of keys. She knocked. Loud, impatient. Jack, she yelled. Seriously? Open the door. I muted the TV. She knocked again, then pounded. Jack, what the hell is this? I live here. I turned to Lily. Honey, why don't you head upstairs and brush your teeth? I'll be up in a few. She nodded, sensing the tension, but too used to it lately to ask questions. I watched her go. Then I stood in the hallway, just out of view from the window, and waited. Another knock. Then a string of curses, followed by the familiar buzz of my phone. Blocked. She didn't know that yet. Then came the texts, one after another, each more frantic than the last. Vanessa, open the door. Stop acting like a child. What are you doing, Jack? This is insane. We need to talk. Now. I let them roll in, silent. Then the tone shifted. Vanessa, are you seriously locking me out? This is illegal. I'll call the cops. She wouldn't. Not yet. Not while her dignity was still trying to walk upright. Instead, she called someone else. Russell told me the next day. She tried to get ahead of you. He said over the phone, amused. Called my office first thing this morning. Wanted to talk settlement. And I asked. I informed her, very politely, that you've already filed. Papers were submitted Friday morning. There was a pause. Her voice cracked. She didn't yell, didn't argue. Just went quiet. That was the thing with Vanessa. She'd been rehearsing her lines so long. She forgot what real emotion felt like. She built her identity on control, on being the one who always got ahead of the fallout. But I'd shifted the timeline. I'd made the first move, and she was rattled. That night, the call stopped. The porch light stayed on until midnight, just in case she decided to make a scene. But she didn't come back. She wasn't righteous anymore. She wasn't smug. First was an email to her HR department. Just a professional note with an attached PDF. To whom it may concern. I'm writing to inform you of a developing legal situation involving one of your senior staff, Vanessa Miller. While I understand this may fall outside your jurisdiction, I believe it's important to disclose that company resources may have been used to support an extramarital affair between Ms. Miller and a subordinate, Mr. Grant Pembroke. During what was publicly described as a corporate trip, attached are screenshots and financial records indicating potential misuse of marital assets and fraudulent claims of a work-sponsored event. No accusation. Just facts. No threats. Just receipts. I never heard back from them directly, but a mutual friend in her department texted me 2 days later. You didn't hear this from me, but there was a closed-door meeting with HR and Grant. Vanessa's name came up. People are whispering. Big time. Grant, it turned out, didn't handle whispers well. Apparently, he'd enjoyed the affair when it was candlelit dinners and hotel balconies, not when it involved calls from HR and questions about inappropriate conduct during company travel. I'd heard through another friend that he started pulling back, stopped tagging her in posts, deleted the beach photos, went silent on socials. Vanessa's circle started shrinking. Mutual friends, especially the ones who used to invite us both to dinners, began choosing sides. Most didn't say anything directly to her. They just drifted, replied less, stopped liking her posts. One of her oldest friends, Danny, reached out to me. I'm so sorry, Jack, she said quietly over the phone. We didn't know it was this bad. I didn't badmouth Vanessa. Didn't rant. I just said it wasn't about one bad decision. It was about months of deception and a complete lack of respect. Her family, too, found out. I'd mailed copies of the divorce filing to her sister and her parents, just the legal stuff. Nothing personal. I didn't attach the screenshots, but I knew Vanessa well enough to guess she'd try to spin the narrative. I made sure they had enough truth on paper to start asking their own questions. Word spread, not because I shouted, but because she'd built her castle too high on lies, and all it took was one quiet tug at the right thread. And then, she called me. A week after the HR fallout. After Grant ghosted her. After her LinkedIn profile suddenly went inactive. I let it go to voicemail. Her voice was tight. No trace of that confidence she used to wear like perfume. Jack, please call me. I think we should talk. I made some mistakes, but this is all spiraling, and I need to explain. No apology. Just panic. Because the lifeline she thought would catch her, Grant, her job, her image, had snapped. And now she was looking back at the one bridge she'd set on fire. Mine. Too late. The thing about surviving a betrayal like that, it doesn't feel like triumph. Not at first. It feels like waking up after surgery. Everything's raw, quiet, a strange mix of pain and relief. But then, one morning, you stretch and realize nothing hurts as much as it used to. Lily was the first to notice. You're smiling more, she said one night at dinner, poking at a pile of mashed potatoes with the kind of wisdom only a 12-year-old can deliver. You don't look sad tired. You look just regular tired. I laughed harder than I had in months. After Vanessa was gone, the house didn't echo with silence like I expected. It breathed. The air felt lighter, like we could exhale again. I repainted the guest room, used to be her makeshift office full of overpriced candles and motivational quotes. Turned it into a reading nook. Put in a beanbag chair for Lily, some old records I hadn't touched in years. We started doing Friday movie nights again. Just us. Popcorn, terrible action films, the occasional spill on the couch we didn't pretend to be mad about. I also started sleeping better. Started eating better. Signed up for that boxing gym I used to drive past every day and tell myself, maybe someday. Turns out hitting a heavy bag clears the head better than any therapist I've ever met. And somewhere between protein shakes and sore shoulders, I remembered who I was before Vanessa needed me to be someone else. Work got better, too. When you're not living a double life or supporting someone else's, you'd be surprised how focused you get. I got offered a lead role on a new infrastructure project. More money, more responsibility. And for the first time in years, I said yes without checking someone else's calendar first. It had been quiet for a while. Weeks, actually. Enough time to start believing the chapter was closed for good. Vanessa had disappeared into the shadows of her own choices, and I had no intention of dragging her back into the light. But ghosts don't like to stay buried. It started with an email. No subject line, just her name in the sender box. My finger hovered over delete for a good 3 seconds. But curiosity, stubborn, human curiosity, got the better of me. Jack, I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from. And maybe I don't deserve even a sliver of your time. But I needed to say this. I messed up. Not just the affair, not just Cabo. All of it. I treated you like an afterthought, and I thought I was trading stability for something exciting. But it turns out exciting leaves when the money runs out and HR starts sniffing around. Grant's gone. He bailed when things got complicated. My job hasn't been the same. People look at me different now, like I'm a punchline waiting to happen. But it's not just about that. It's about you. I see it now. Everything you did that I took for granted. The way you kept the house running. The way you supported my career. The way you loved me. Even when I was impossible to love. I miss us. I miss the life we had. I miss you. Please, Jack. Can we talk? I didn't respond. Not right away. I didn't have anything to say that couldn't be summed up in silence. But Vanessa doesn't do silence well. 3 days later, she showed up in the parking lot at my office. Right by my truck, leaning against the hood like a sad memory that hadn't finished its story. She looked tired. Not in the worn-out from travel way. In the soul-deep kind. The kind of tired that happens when the lies finally start costing more than they're worth. Jack, she said softly as I approached, eyes wide like she expected a slap or a sob. Just 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I leaned against the other side of the truck, arms crossed. You're on the clock. She looked down, twisting her fingers like she had something rehearsed but couldn't remember the words. I made a mistake. I see that now. What we had, it wasn't perfect, but it was real. I lost something good. And I know I don't deserve a second chance, but I'm standing here because I needed to say it. To your face. I let the silence stretch. Let her hear what it felt like when I didn't rush in to rescue her from the consequences. Finally, I spoke. Calm. Steady. Just loud enough for her to hear. No, Vanessa, I said. You don't miss us. You miss the man you thought you could keep waiting. Her eyes welled up, but I didn't flinch. You miss the version of me who didn't know better, who still believed your excuses, who picked up the pieces while you played victim in heels. She opened her mouth, maybe to argue, maybe to beg, but I shook my head. You burned the bridge, then asked if I could swim back to you. I'm not drowning, Vanessa. I'm finally breathing. I unlocked the truck, climbed in, and pulled the door shut. She stepped back, stunned. The engine rumbled to life. I didn't look back again, because the road ahead finally belonged to me. Dear viewer, thank you for your invaluable viewing. We will be very grateful for your likes, subscriptions, comments, and sharing our story. See you soon.